So I did my taxes today. It would have been better if I had done them a couple months ago because, putting things off isn't good. But I looked back and I did that last year too. I did it like on the 14th, I think, last year. But anyway, it seems like sometimes it's not necessarily you're having to pay tax. A lot of times we get a tax refund or whatever. But it doesn't make it any more fun to do the paperwork of it, I guess. And if nothing else, we're kind of reminded, right, of look at all of these details and look how much tax I paid. I had to pay this all year. That comes out of your paycheck or whatever your situation is. But trying to relate that to something spiritual, thinking about Matthew chapter 17, verse 24. This is a different kind of tax situation, but this is as I understand it, about the temple tax. So there's a tax, and I think you can go back to the Old Testament where it kind of outlines how it works, and then probably some traditions added to that or whatever. And so they had this tax they were to pay to sort of support the work of the temple. And so anyway, looking at some of these verses here in Matthew 17:24. Now when they came to Capernaum, so Jesus and his apostles there with them, those who collected the 2 drachma tax, this temple tax, came to Peter and said, "Does your teacher not pay the 2 drachma tax?" Jesus is he's his teacher, right? Doesn't Jesus pay the tax? He said, "Yes." And when he came into the house, Jesus spoke to him first, saying, "What do you think, Simon?" Of course, Simon, the other name for Peter, right? "What do you think, Peter? What do you think? From whom do the kings of the earth collect tolls and taxes? From their sons or from strangers?" So he's kind of broadening the question about tax, not just this temple tax that's called for in the Old Testament, but taxes in general with kingdoms, ancient kingdoms, right? Does the son of the king have to pay taxes in those situations, or just like everybody else, strangers? In verse 26, and when Peter said, "From strangers," because the son of the king's not going to pay the tax, Jesus said to him, "Well, then the sons are exempt, right? The sons of the king are exempt. However, so that we do not offend them, go to the sea and throw in a hook and take the first fish that comes up, and when you open its mouth, you will find a stater," and that's actually just the right amount of this. So it's like 4 drachmas or whatever. Just the amount that they owed for them. Take that and give it to them for me and for you. So for the 2 of those men, Peter and Jesus, this fish would miraculously have the money needed there. And that's a little bit of a weird miracle that maybe we don't always think about. But the teaching seems to be, firstly, Jesus, probably the idea that Jesus is one of the sons of the king, right? He's the Son of God, right? So he doesn't really obligated to do all this stuff, but yet he's to fulfill all righteousness, just like in his baptism, he said. In all of these things, he fulfilled the law. But notice he also pays for Peter, right? Peter is in this club, you might say, of the sons of God. And really, all of us as Christians, we're adopted as sons of God, or we might say, accommodatively, sons and daughters of God. So we're all included in that. But kind of often uses the word sons to kind of talk about the son's the one who gets the inheritance. And all of us, men and women who obey God, get that blessing. And so I just want to kind of think about that. Are we recognizing the blessings we have, that the tax that we owe, so to speak, the wages of sin is death, right? That would be one way to relate that. We aren't obligated to do that. And we have privileges as being sons of God. We have the reconciliation to be with God and to have the privileges there. And so we're going to sing this song, "Bring Christ Your Broken Life." And that would be, of course, if we haven't been reconciled to God, then our life is a disaster. We don't have the righteousness that we can have through the forgiveness of sins. And so if anyone needs to make a change in their life as a Christian, to repent of things, or if you need to obey the gospel, we would help you while we sing this song, "Bring Christ Your Broken Life."